welcome to Diamond Niners Weekly for Week 3 of the 2025 season. I am Nick, joined as always by Kevin.
Hey, what's up, Niner Nation?
With producer Brad, making it all go.
Hey.
All right, folks, we've got some great stuff lined up for you tonight. We appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. If you enjoy what we're doing here, make sure you subscribe to Diamond Niner Report on YouTube and Spotify and turn those notifications on so that you can stay up to date with our content all season long. You can also find Diamond Niner Report all over social media, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, still never TikTok. Okay, boys, how we doing today?
Doing good. Coming off a victory last night at the Hayes, so all is good.
Producer Brad, you all right over there?
Winning's fun.
Winning is fun. Absolutely. All right. We've got a lot of stuff to get into tonight. We are going to be joined by assistant coach Philip Siebehar. He's going to come in and talk to us about his time in Fayetteville. He's a Fayetteville native. So he's going to help us get ready for the big series this weekend against the Arkansas Razorbacks. But for now, Kevin, why don't we get into – we spent some time at the Hayes this past weekend, and obviously had a midweek game last night against Longwood. But long weekend at the Hayes, which was good to be back at the Hayes for another weekend, but tough series against a really scrappy Old Dominion squad.
Yeah, very even series, I thought. It could have gone, all games could have gone either way easily. Friday night, we had the extra innings. That's a coin flip, really. And then you got Saturday's game. We had bases loaded in the ninth inning. One out, down two, but couldn't get the knockout punch going in that one. And then on Sunday had the lead going into ninth, and ODU got some big hits and took the lead. So yeah, I thought it was an evenly matched series. I saw a lot of good things, a lot of things that we could do better. But it was. I will say this: it's good to be back at the Hayes for a regular 3-game series. Not modified by weather, and just a little bit. I think they bumped up one game, but it was nice to be back at the Hayes for one game at a time.
Yeah, the Northeastern weekend didn't really even count in some ways. I mean, not from our side of the net. I mean, the games counted, but it was totally disjointed, and then the weather and waiting out the weather. This was just a regular 3-game series weekend, and we even got in some tailgating on Saturday, and so it was good to be back in the flow of things, I guess is the way to put it. As far as the team goes, Kevin, this really has there's some good things going on here. There's some things to like. The pitching staff right now, I think this feels like, I know it's early and we're getting more data points as we go, but this feels like the most complete pitching staff that we've had with this staff since let's say realistically 2021. We won't even throw 2020 in there, but since 2021, this seems like the deepest, most complete pitching staff. It's missing an ace right now. I think that's a fair comment. There's no guy that you point to that's like, oh, that's Bryce McGowan or that's Spencer Giesing. There's not that guy yet. Could still emerge, but there's just a lot of different guys, not only in the rotation, but in the bullpen that you feel good about. I guess the closest thing we got right now to oh, that's the guy. It's not in the starting rotation. He's on the back end, and that's Joseph Taylor, who's off to an awesome start.
Yeah, great segue. Joseph Taylor, AAC Pitcher of the Week this week. So it was great to get our first Niner in the conference awards for the week. He's been lights out. We've used him quite a bit in the early goings, and he's been lights out. Especially that Friday night game. You really don't want him to go 4 innings, but he gutted out that victory for us, and it was a tight game, tie game. You're fighting to stay in it, and he made some big pitches and got some big outs, and allowed us to eventually come away with the victory in that game. As far as the pitching staff overall, we've seen a lot of arms the past 2 weeks, and I think we're pretty consistent with what we've seen. A few hiccups here and there, but I think consistency has been good this year.
Yeah. So, I think I was looking up to see how many pitches JT threw on Friday night. It was 77. We used him. We used him once in the Northeastern series between those two games. He made an appearance at Wofford on Tuesday night, and then he came in for 77 pitches on Friday night and secured the W. 4 innings, 4 innings of scoreless work. He's a stud. He's going to be. It was awesome to watch him last year because you saw what you saw to JT last year as a freshman was he looked young, he looked inexperienced at times, but you could tell by the body language and the attitude that JT was going to be something special. And now this year he's it's like he's growing into his confidence, right? Batters don't want to see him coming.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned those 77 pitches, and I think each one was high leverage, you'd say, when we needed it most. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to see him if I was an opposing hitter for sure, especially closing out a game if the Niners have a 1 or 2 run lead late. I don't want to see him coming out of the pen.
Yeah. Got some good work out of Wesley Jones and Sebastian Perez that Friday night game too. They we had to go to the bullpen early. AJ Camp also came in and helped stem the tide. We've said it 100 times on this show, when a guy has a performance that maybe he wasn't looking to have, and Mike Sturma looked great against Northeastern, kind of stubbed his toe against Old Dominion on Friday night. That's going to happen. Look for him to bounce back this weekend, but that's what your bullpen's for. Guy has an off day, and you've got guys ready to come in and pick up the slack, and they did. Really impressed with the depth we were able to put on display this weekend.
Yeah, I think Woody did a good job managing that. He had a rough start in that game, gave up 7 early, and we kind of kept throwing a new arm in and get 1 inning at a time out of that bullpen, not stressing out too much. One person getting stressed out too much, so we could save him for the rest of the weekend, which we needed late in the weekend. But yeah, I thought he gave us a chance to win the series late in the weekend as well, the way he managed the pen in that first game.
Yeah. Then the offense, we get in that hole, and the offense, not only does the pitching help stop the bleeding, but then the offense gets us back in it, brings us all the way back. Anytime you score 10 runs, that's a good thing. So we'll get Siebes in here in a minute and talk to him about the art of putting up runs. I'm sure he's going to have some things to say to us about that. But the Saturday was a weird day as a game. Sometimes you just run into a dude that's got your number, and that feels like Saturday, Kevin. I'm not here to take anything away from anybody that puts on a performance, but ODU starter went 8 innings, and we didn't have an answer for him.
Yeah, he went 8 strong innings. I think he threw a 107.
Yeah.
And yeah, didn't have anything for him. But once we got to the pen, we started to get some action going, and we just lacked that one knockout punch, like you said, to knock that game into the victory column. But sometimes you just got to tip your hat, and that's what happened on Saturday.
That was the story of the whole weekend, I thought, was Old Dominion's bullpen. They got 3 quality starts, and that allowed them to not have to ask as much from their pen. But when they did have to ask a lot from their pen, or when they did have to ask anything from their pen, really, it was advantage Niners. We kind of spent the whole weekend like one big hit away from, taking the whole thing. I'll say this about Sunday. The only thing I've got, what I would compare Sunday to, Kevin, remember the game, I know you remember the game, the game 3 against UNC Wilmington the other year, where we walked it off, made the dramatic comeback, and how good that felt. Sunday felt just like that, just the opposite direction. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know about anybody else, but after that game on Sunday, I think the best way I can describe it was like I was a little bit in shock. It happened so fast. We had played so well and felt so good, and then it just that's baseball, you know. Sometimes it just comes apart, and oh my goodness, I was in a little bit of disbelief. I'll admit to that.
Yeah, sometimes those last 3 outs are the hardest to get, you know, and it proved to be the case on Sunday. But yeah, we were right in it. Our game on Friday, the way we used the pen and all that, we put ourselves in a position to win the series on Sunday. We were right there to win it.
And you know, and this is the time of year where that kind of stuff's going to happen. And it's better for something like that to happen right now, as we're kind of easing into the season and working the kinks out, than to have that happen, you know, 2 months from now. So you've got a team with a lot of new pieces, still learning to play together, getting everything. We've got some positive things going on, some guys that are making some adjustments. You learn. You just learn from it, right? I mean, that's all you can do. You take it for what it is. Didn't go your way. Bad day at the office. You learn from it. You move on, and that's really what the Niners did last night against Longwood. Came back in and took that game 8-1. Kind of had a big explosive inning, grand slam by Logan Poteet, which was a lot of fun to watch. That ball was absolutely crushed to left field. And, you know, you want to see a team's attitude, how they're going to bounce back from something like that. Because you know this as well as I do, Kevin, and everybody out there watching knows, is like a game like Sunday, if it'd be easy to let that snowball. But to turn around and to get back on the field 48 hours later and put up a good performance against Longwood, that's just what you got to do. That's what you expect to do.
Yeah. You got to take care of business, especially at home on the midweeks, and they certainly did that. 7-run explosion. That was plenty offense to get the job done. Great pitching. We threw 4 guys. We saw some new arms that we hadn't seen yet, really. So it's good. It was an all-around team victory on Tuesday. Good to see you bounce back, and looking forward to carrying some momentum down to Fayetteville this weekend.
Yeah. By the way, and before we're going to get Siebes in here in just a second, but before we get him in here, we need to say the controversial stuff before we put Siebes in here. Kevin, I talked to some people last night that were sitting on the other side, you know, where we said so there was this call, the reviewed home run in the Sunday game against Old Dominion, ended up being a 3-run home run. Obviously, that winds up playing into the outcome of the game. I had no view on that. From our seats over there on the first base side, you know, if it's down the right field line, I have no idea what's going on. We can't see from over there. I got a chance to talk to some folks last night that sit over there on the other side, and everybody seems to be in agreement. Not that anybody at the Hayes is biased, but everybody that I spoke to that sits on that side seems to be in agreement that they felt like that was a foul ball.
Well, I'll say that I'm in agreement with them. Then I mean,
people that I trust feel like that was a 3-run foul ball. That's the way I tweeted it, and Logan standing on home plate thought it was a foul ball. I talked to our buddy Tyler Parr. Tyler's seats are on that baseline. Look, he's looking right down that baseline, and he's like, "Nah, it was a foul ball." So Tyler wouldn't lie to us. Yeah,
he's not biased either. He's a fair-minded individual, and he would.
Yeah, all of us are. We don't have, we're not going to see things our way because we want to. But hey, obviously they went and reviewed it. I don't know what kind of camera angle they had, but they counted it, and it is what it is. So anyway, that's our controversial statement for this week is we didn't think that was a home run. But
we should have a sponsored segment of a controversial statement of the week. Sponsored by.
I think so. We should come up with, well, you act like we would have to sit down and think of something controversial to say every week. It just typically just happens.
we could get like a eye doctor to sponsor it or something.
Shout out to the Gold Mine, by the way. While you're talking about chirping umpires, the Gold Mine has they are in midseason form now. They've already had some good stuff coming out of the stands. So
they have gotten under some skin of some visiting folks for sure.
Yeah, they have.
Some visiting players also.
Yeah, so the shout out to the Gold Mine. You guys are already in midseason form, so that's awesome. All right, let's get here. So first of all, I got to tell you this, Kevin. Are you ready?
Ready.
So as of this show, all of our coaching appearances are brought to us by our friends at Niners Collective. How awesome is that? Randy Peterson and the boys. Their mission is simple: enhance the lives of Charlotte 49ers student athletes and empower them to create successful futures through personal and professional development while earning their degrees and competing on the field as proud members of the 49er family. For more information on them, check them out on the web at ninerscollective.com. That's ninerscollective.com. How about that, Kevin?
That's awesome, man. That was a great read, too.
Yeah, we got to do that for Randy. Randy needs pub, and the Niners Collective is awesome, and they're doing a lot to help out all of our 49er sports, but they're doing particularly helping out Niner baseball, and we're proud to support them and appreciate all their help.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Getting a lot of love. He's getting a lot of love. He got mentioned on the softball show we did this week.
Yes, he did.
Now he's getting some love on the baseball show. So
yeah, and he deserves all of it.
Yep, he does.
Deserves all of it. All right, joining us tonight is assistant coach Philip Seebahar. Coach Seebahar is a native of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Can't imagine why we're talking to him tonight. He is in his fourth season with the Niners after spending 3 seasons as a grad assistant with the Razorbacks. Coach Siebes, what's up, man?
How are y'all?
And we're great. I mean, yeah. It's Wednesday night. We're hanging out, talking Niners baseball, and now we've got you in here.
Let's go. I'm jacked up for this.
Well, I mean, it's fun. We come in here, we hang out. It looks like you're still at the office.
I am. Yeah, I got a good view right now. Sun just set, and some guys are walking out in the training room. It's good time at the Hayes. It's kind of quiet, kind of peaceful. It's a good time to be here.
Are the lights on?
The lights are not on. Not right now.
Oh,
nobody's playing with the lights out there again.
The green flashing lights are not going at the moment, but we might need to get them on here in a second. I'll see if I can shoot a text out or something.
It's okay.
So, Coach, are you aware? Have you been on to the roster? And I know you recorded it. I'm sure Joe recorded for it. But have you been onto the roster and played with the little thing where it does the audio pronunciation of the names?
No, I have not.
Do you remember recording yours?
Hardly.
Okay, you need to go check it out. It's on the roster.
Okay.
We've been playing around with it here on the show.
Yeah. How'd I do?
Kevin looks like he's efforting it. Are you getting it, Kevin?
Let's see. Hang on. It's not working for me right now.
So you say your name slowly and phonetically, and then you just say it.
Yeah.
So it's you'll say Philip C. Bahar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Philip C. Bahar.
Yeah. Philip C. Bahar. The correct pronunciation is C. Buhar. That's how my great-grandmother and grandmother wanted it to be pronounced. I guess that's the Croatian, Eastern European correct pronunciation. But in Arkansas, we're pretty bad with our pronunciation and our vowels, and we just say C. Bahar. So
You're lucky there's an R on the end of that.
Yeah. Coach Vic gives me a hard time. Sometimes when we're looking at players and we're looking at names, like I have to ask him how to pronounce some of the last names because sometimes it's over my head. It's one of my many downfalls.
So technically, it would be C. Buhar.
Correct.
But that's not how you say it.
That's not how I say it. That's not how we all said it growing up. Yeah.
So there's a little black project going on here, Coach. Producer Brad's helping me out with it. Maybe I need to add you to the mix. He's already, and don't tell him, and if he's not watching, just don't tell him. Brad has already clipped Toby saying his name for me and sent it to me as an MP3. And I'm putting it in my phone so that like if Toby texts me, it'll say Toby Bicknell.
I think I need to get producer Brad to do that for me with the amount of texts that Coach Vic sends me.
He's already got the file. He can send it to you.
Oh my God. I need that immediately. Producer Brad, if you're listening, please send that over my way.
Oh yeah, producer Brad's nodding. He's like, oh yeah, we can do that. So we actually have an MP3 file of Coach Vic saying Toby Bicknell.
Incredible.
Don't you love technology?
It's the best, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're going to get into, we want to hear you tell some Fayetteville stories because of all your experience there as, growing up and then being on staff there. But we need to start off with something a little closer to home. Why don't you fill us in on how dad life's going for you?
It's the coolest thing ever. It's certainly short of sleep at times. But Crew's doing great. He's 5 months today, actually. Wow, I probably need to call him and tell him it's his 5-month birthday. He's in Kansas City right now with my wife Mackenzie. But it's going great. It's cool to see him grow up. He's learning how to roll and flip and keeping me on my toes. So I'm still taking pointers. So if you got any, please give them to me.
Well, you got pointers for days, Coach. I'm sure you've heard plenty of pointers.
Some of them might work too. I don't know.
Yeah. There was other day where he was crying. I think he was upset because he was just growing, and Mackenzie and I kind of looked at each other like we really don't know what to do. And yeah, there's a lot of those stares between Mackenzie and myself. Like we don't know what to do, but we're gonna try to figure it out.
No. If you're at the Hayes, Crew will be easy to spot. He looks just like Phil.
He's pretty close. Yeah, small version.
Well, that's great, Coach. Congrats again on that, and I know you're enjoying fatherhood.
Thank you. Appreciate it a ton, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk a little Fayetteville, man. I mean, like, help us, those of us who've never been there. Okay, we'll get into like talking about Baum Stadium, etc. But like just Fayetteville as a vibe. Like, what would you compare it to for those of us that have never been out there?
I think a good comparison for anybody here in the Carolinas, it's very similar to Asheville in the sense of it's right at the base of the Boston Mountains and the Ozarks, kind of part of the country. It kind of backs up to a little bit more of some of the greater plains in the Midwest. It's kind of where they merge. It's kind of Fayetteville. It's a good college town. There's a lot of businesses there. There's a lot of great people there. Tyson Foods, Walmart, J.B. Hunt, 3 Fortune, top 50 companies, like all reside in Northwest Arkansas. The universities has got a strong reputation in the state in that area of the country. So it's a very fast growing part of the country, certainly in the state. But it's, in terms of kind of similarities to North Carolina, Asheville is probably as good of a comparison as we can make it, as I can make it. That's the comparison that I draw to.
Yeah, Nick mentioned Baum Stadium. Quite a facility down there that they built. SEC caliber, one of the tops in the country. Talk a little bit about that facility and how it came about.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. My earliest memories are right when Baum Walker was kind of put on campus. It's actually off of campus across the street from the south side of campus. But, my earliest memories were about 1999, 2000. And gosh, I think that was probably year 4 or 5 of Baum Stadium. It was kind of its first of its kind, AstroTurf, seats down the line all the way to third base with kind of a big foyer with some suites up top. And over the years, it just was kind of built in the perfect location with room to grow. And each year it just kept getting bigger and bigger. I remember when Coach Van Horn got the job, a little bit of a secondhand story, but, Coach Van Horn's walking around Baum Stadium at the time, and he's telling Norm DeBryan, the former head coach who's hiring him and kind of getting the ball rolling there, he said, we're going to need more seats. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I think at the time it was maybe 1,500, 2,000, maybe 3,000 seats. Coach Van Horn was very adamant that they were going to need more seats. They were going to need to extend the suites up top and really make it into the crown jewel of college baseball. And it's Coach Van Horn's built it. He's made it into what it is. And it's one of the best in college baseball, if not the best. It's a beautiful facility.
So for anybody that's heading to Fayetteville, Coach, do you have a restaurant recommendation?
I do. I would tell everybody to go to Wright's Barbecue. If you wanted a good steak, I would say Doe's Steakhouse. Those would be my 2 go-to spots that are definitely can't miss in Fayetteville.
So as a follow-up to that, so Wright's Barbecue.
Yep.
Is Fayetteville sort of in Kansas City's barbecue orbit, or how would you do? I know Kevin's laughing at me.
No, that's a great question.
But how would you define Fayetteville, Arkansas barbecue?
Well, Wright's is going to be a little bit more Texas-based barbecue.
Okay.
I know the owner of Texas. I think he kind of had a cool story. He left a corporate job, went to Texas for a couple months, I think, and kind of picked and chose from all the different barbecues in Texas, kind of made it his own, and it's this renowned thing. But there's probably a couple barbecue places in Fayetteville that are going to lean more Kansas City. And then there's probably a couple that lean more Memphis. So there's a little bit of a hybrid barbecue scene in Fayetteville. But, Wright's is probably the favorite amongst the people.
You're on a barbecue fault line.
Yeah, you are. It's a very unique spot for all that barbecue.
Okay. Kevin, you knew that was coming.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect anything less. Barbecue.
I'll be eating Wright's. I'll be eating Wright's either tomorrow night or Friday after the game. It'll be one of my first stops for food, and it's near where we're staying. So it's definitely going to be checked off the list for myself.
I like it.
It's making me hungry.
Well, it'll take a lot with us.
Yeah,
we got that way. So what's this? What's this going to be? What's this like for you going back in there? I mean, you've spent so much time in your life, but also your career, your early career at the University of Arkansas. So what's this trip down memory lane or the nostalgia like for you?
Yeah, it's going to mean a lot. Certainly, I wouldn't be where I'm at without Coach Van Horn, Coach Thompson, Coach Hobbs, Coach Warnes, Coach Goodwin, all the guys on staff still at Arkansas. I wouldn't be where I'm at without them. But, the memories of me as a kid, playing wall ball up at the stadium wall, watching games, I remember sitting in the stands as probably a 5-6-year-old with a media guide and just learning about the game of baseball and stats. And, my dad sitting with me, and, my dad played at Arkansas. So I had the dream of wanting to play at Arkansas. And, so it's certainly going to mean a lot. There's going to be, quite a few people there, family and friends that be able to see that I haven't seen in a while. So there's going to be a lot of good hugs and good hellos this weekend for sure.
Awesome.
Coach, you guys had a lot of success while you were there. Do you have a favorite memory from your time on staff there?
It's got to be the super regional clinch in 19. I think, that was a really special team. I wasn't with the team the year before that finished runner up, but that was a team that kind of set its own identity and, really just kind of had wanted to do it themselves. It was a little bit of a different team than the year before, and that whole journey that we went on in the 19th season, and kind of finishing it off, beating Ole Miss when they kind of had our number a little bit. I know they took the series from us in March, and then I think in the SEC tournament they beat us twice. Maybe they beat us once. And so, when they came in, interdivision rival for super regional, we blew them out game 1. They blew us out game 2. And, there was a lot on the line for game 3, and we were able to get it done. And, obviously celebrating to go to Omaha with the coaches and seeing the players dogpile on the field, that's got to be memory number 1 for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. But other than dogpiling in Omaha, dogpiling after a game 3 of a super, that's pretty high on the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? I think we should try that sometime, Kevin.
I'm down for it. It's the greatest thing ever. I tell our guys too, and I know Coach Woodard has too. Like seeing the dog piles, seeing the guys experience that, like that's why we do it. To be able to go to Omaha as a player, as a coach, like having other people be able to do it and experience it, like that's why we do this. It's the greatest thing ever.
What about as a kid? You mentioned sitting in the stands like 5-6 years old. Do you have a favorite memory from like your childhood at the baseball stadium? Or maybe did you ever get in trouble while you were there?
Oh, I'm sure I got in plenty of trouble. No one. If you know my dad, I certainly got in a lot of trouble running off and kind of doing my own thing. But favorite memory, I think, again, I think this is what drew me into college baseball. It was 2004. They're playing Wichita State in the regional, and a guy by the name of Brady Toops. I don't remember the situation, if it was a game-winning grand slam, if it was a go-ahead grand slam, but it was a tight game. I believe it was the regional final, and Brady Toops hits a go-ahead or game-winning grand slam, and the place just erupts. And I remember that specific moment, understanding the significance of it and the celebration and the players and everybody in the stands. That's probably one moment as a young kid. And it was 2004, so I would have been 7 or 8 years old then. That was one moment that sticks out in my mind. And that sign, that picture, that moment's in Bob Walker Stadium and a couple different places, I think. And that video still makes its run on social media from time to time. But that was a pretty big moment that kind of drew me in further to college baseball. And then, they ended up beating Florida State that year in the Super Regional. And I think they went 0-2 in Omaha that year. But that was a special run that kind of captivated me.
Go ahead, Kevin. I was leaving the door open for you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, I was going to fast forward to this weekend, and this season's team, Arkansas, they're ranked 4th in the country by several publications. Tell us a little bit about what to expect from Arkansas this weekend.
Well, they're very talented. They're very talented. They're very disciplined, and they're very well coached. There's a reason why they're ranked very high. There's a reason why they have, the expectations that they do year in and year out. They have a really good program. They're very talented, like I mentioned. I think they're very old this year. You look at their rotation. I believe it goes junior, and maybe a senior in there mixed in somewhere, depending on that last spot. They're just going to be an old team. They've been around the block. It's a very, very talented pitching staff that has a lot of stuff plus strikes. They're going to command the zone really, really well, and it's a really good group. And we're going to have a good challenge in front of us, and we're going to go in there and compete like we know how to, and really go play our brand of baseball.
It looks like we'll see a familiar arm this weekend. One of the arms we saw in Greenville last year. Good to have some familiarity going into the weekend. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Zach Root, very talented arm, very talented southpaw. There'll be some familiarity there. It looks like there's maybe some tweaks that have changed since from last year, this year, that we'll have to adjust to with velocity and pitch shape, and a little bit on the usage front as well. But he's really talented. He does a good job of commanding both sides of the plate, changing speeds. It's a little bit of a deceptive look as well. And, some of our guys that were in our lineup last year remember it and remember how that game went and some of the things that he tries to do and how he takes hitters. And we'll be ready for it, and we'll attack our game plan.
Well, it's really cool to see our guys get to have a chance to play in an environment like this, because this is really, if we were making a list of college baseball meccas, right? Baum Walker's going to be. We can get a great big argument about where it'd be, but top 10, if not top 5 of college baseball meccas. So really cool, and even better that you get to make a trip home. Are all those folks that are coming out to support you, have you gotten them Niner gear so that they'll be appropriately attired?
I think so. I've kind of made it known that the green's only allowed. No neutral colors, no red. It's green or nothing. If you want your name on the list, it's got to be green, blue, or pink. So we're not doing the whole wearing blue or wearing, I don't know what they would wear, but the law has been set if you want the tickets on the guest list.
That's the way it should be, Coach. I appreciate you putting your foot down like that. I have it hasn't happened in baseball yet, but it did happen in football. I had somebody ask me to get a ticket for a friend of theirs last year, and they weren't going to be wearing Niner green. And I said, I don't have anything for you. And they said, I thought you said you had an extra ticket. I said, I do.
It comes with the law. It's part of it. You want a ticket, you got to wear the colors we choose, the colors we wear.
Yeah, I had a ticket for someone, but I didn't have a ticket for someone wearing purple.
Sure. Sure.
That's just the way it was. So
who's going to be there this weekend too is Carson Johnson. I talked to him the other day.
Oh,
he's excited. Yeah, Carson Johnson. He said he's going to make sure that he wears his jersey all 3 games and cheer on the Niners. So that'll be cool to see him as well. I know I think he's back in Fayetteville full time, or Springdale, Arkansas. That is. I think he's back there full time.
I think Ryan Chanskowski's back in Arkansas too, isn't he?
That sounds right. I think he's back in Mountain Home because he came to a series, maybe it was Houston he came to in 2023 when we went there in April. That sounds right because I remember meeting him and talking to him a little bit more, and I think he's in Mountain Home again, if that's right.
Okay. So Niners from Arkansas. It's one of those places where we've had some successful players come from. So be cool.
Coaches.
Maybe. And coaches, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on social media, Kevin. Maybe Carson will post some pictures or something from there wearing his jersey, and we'll have to look for that. So, Coach, let's shift gears here and talk a little hitting in general. We told you we wanted to talk to you about this because with the day and age that we're in, it's always been the case that you're taking high school guys and trying to help them make a transition into D1. But now more than ever, as a hitting coach, you're working with high school guys, you're working with JUCO guys. On this team, we've got a D3 guy. We've got a freshman a sophomore that's D1, but he transferred in from the NEC. So, making that transition from it's D1, but it's NEC to AAC. Could you talk to us a little bit about how you help these various hitters from all these various levels that you're working with? How are you helping them make the transition to D1 baseball, particularly with the type of schedule we play out of conference and then being a part of the American Athletic Conference?
Yeah, I think the best thing that we can do and that we do as coaches is we try to give them a clear plan of attack every single day, either that be in practice or that be in the game against an opponent. For us, you're right, we have different players from different schools, different levels of play, and certainly hitting the old analogy or the old saying is hitting is all rhythm and timing, right? And for us, it's all about getting everybody in good positions to hit. How can we get their rhythm right? How can we get them to feel success and know what success is like, and what is the game asking of them? And it's difficult at times, certainly, because hitting is very hard. But it's one of the best things of the job is, you're having different conversations with different guys in the span of 30 minutes. I could be talking to 6 or 7 different hitters over the span of a 30-minute batting practice session, or a couple innings of the game about different scenarios, different strategies, different thoughts, different emotions. And it's all driving them towards, the same goal, but it's going to look a little bit different for guys. And so, the thing we try to do is we try to give them a clear plan of attack that's going to help them, give them something attainable that's going to give them confidence. And then when they get confidence, they're able to kind of rinse, wash, and repeat that cycle and kind of get that momentum going, right? And that's, you kind of you hear that and you think about hitting as well. Hitting is all momentum. It's keeping the line moving. It's all those things that really go into it. It's a lot of fun, right? We have a really good group. We have a lot of guys that, again, are from different parts of the country, different levels and sorts. And so it's been really fun to work with this group because of all the different backgrounds we have, and, the overlying desire to be good and the competitive nature of this group. And that's what is really fun about these guys.
Yeah, Coach, we play about 2 weekends now in Division I baseball. Some of these guys are playing getting their first action in D1. Talk about some of the challenges that or some of the feedback you've gotten of what their biggest challenges are over the last couple weeks as making the adjustment.
Yeah, I think, the level of play, certainly, we always want to play a tough schedule, and, we're not afraid to play anybody's best right out of the gate. Northeastern's a really high-quality club. Old Dominion's a real high-quality club, and, Arkansas as well is a high-quality club. And so for us, right out of the gate, it's kind of finding our groove, finding our rhythm, helping guys be put in positions for success in order to feel success, right? If we're running a certain type of play on offense, the way that we're setting ourselves up in the box, the way that we're adjusting AB to AB, the emotions that come with it, right? And a lot of that's kind of steering the ship, and that comes from myself and the rest of our coaching staff, is we're helping these guys navigate the failures and success. We talk about it a lot. We have to handle our success the same way we handle our failure, and that's really hard to do with 18 to 24-year-olds. The way you handle your success should be the same way you handle your failure, and it's vice versa. And it's kind of that flatline approach of, I'm going to take the game for what it's worth. I'm going to take my performance for what it's worth, and I'm going to attack each day kind of at a flat head and, strive to make improvements every single day.
Coach, I perceive you as someone who, as far as your craft goes with hitting, likes to be on the cutting edge of what's happening in the profession. So, what do you see out there right now? What's a trend in hitting and hitting instruction and hitting coaching that you're really interested in right now that you're paying attention to?
Sure. I think biomechanics is kind of an easy one. That's kind of an easy layup. That's a common term used throughout baseball and throughout sports. I think bat tracking is something that I've been paying attention to a lot at the major league level. Certainly we don't have as much access to that information as possible, but kind of through some friends and other resources, you can kind of piece some things together. And ultimately, kind of the early findings and the early thoughts about bat tracking for myself and others is, there's a million ways to swing the bat, right? You have Wade Boggs' setup to Frank Thomas's setup to Albert Pujols. I mean, you can set up a million different ways, but there is some type of substance to hitting. And it usually revolves around, one, there is the approach aspect, but from the pure swing standpoint, what is the bat doing and how is the bat attacking the baseball? So, those are some things that I'm kind of looking at and trying to incorporate as much as we can at our level, creating a swing that's consistently getting into the zone at the same spot and staying there as long as possible. And that gives us the best chance to put the bat on the ball and solve all the problems and pitches that we see as a hitter.
So for the uninitiated, could you say a little bit more about bat tracking and what that entails exactly?
Sure. The first metric would be bat speed. How fast is the bat traveling? And the bat doesn't travel at one concrete speed, right? The bat gets up to speed, and some things that you could look at with that is, was the bat traveling at maximum speed at the point of contact, or was it before the point of contact or after the point of contact? And I think you can kind of really see some point of contact data, which is another topic we certainly could sit here for 45 minutes and discuss. That's kind of something on the cutting edge, I think, on both sides of the ball. But bat speed's one, vertical bat angle, which is the angle of the bat at strike. So 0 being flat across the baseline or the belly of the hitter, and 90 being straight 90 degrees to the ground. Horizontal bat angle being basically horizontal from the midline of the hitter. Is the barrel in front of the ball? Is the barrel behind the ball? And some of those things and how the ball strikes the baseball from attack angle to launch angle to exit velocity, right? Those are pretty common nowadays in baseball, but it's how does the bat strike the baseball and what is the result when that happens?
Yeah, that's very interesting, Coach. I know, like Nick said, I know our staff likes to be on the cutting edge of things and trying to use the latest technology and find the next thing. To help our hitters and help our guys be better hitters. What's a something that you guys use more than most daily?
Yeah, I think something we've probably used more, and this is going to sound very old school, and you guys should come into our indoor and see it. I think it'd be great to use with your kids and hitting. But we have these baseballs that are basically colored. 2 red balls in the back, 3 yellow balls in the middle, and 4 green ones in the front. They're all kind of in a chronological vertical line. And we line that across the plate pretty often, and we kind of try to not manipulate, but we try to have our guys be able to make different points of contact with the baseball because we believe that's going to elongate their bat path and let them cover multiple pitches. So, it's kind of an old school thing that kind of has a new school twist on it in terms of catching baseballs deep, catching baseballs middle, catching baseballs out front, and how can we train that and force hitters to be adjustable throughout that process. Because you don't want to just be a one-dimensional hitter and only be able to catch things deep, vice versa, catch things out front. Both are equally important-ish, but you want to be able to kind of have the solutions in the swing to be able to cover the zone back to front and in and out with some regard to horizontal bat angle.
Coach, do you have anything in the indoor facility that could help me with my golf swing?
Certainly, absolutely. I think there's way more similarities than people give for baseball and golf swings. We have those golf speed sticks that you could probably get a couple more miles per hour on your club head speed. I would promise you that.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. Those are still hanging around. It seems like maybe using those as far as like in game was sort of a personal preference, but you guys are probably all using them as far as like during practice time.
Yep. It's a good little movement for the guys to kind of feel themselves move fast and keep their energy back to the pitcher.
And I may be mistaken. Like we used to have guys that would swing that on deck before they went to the plate.
We did. We still have a couple that swing them in the dugout and kind of in our shed underneath. And we have some guys that use it in their pre-hitting warm-ups. But I don't know if there's anybody on the team that loves to swing it on deck. But there's certainly some guys that still utilize it at a pretty high level.
That's interesting. Yeah, I always try to take little things we see at the Hayes and try to implement them to my kids playing baseball. So we're always watching, always learning, and always trying to take the next step with you guys. And then we appreciate you guys showing us the way.
Absolutely.
I'd like to shift gears a little bit and talk about some of these guys we have on the team having successful seasons offensively. A guy we hadn't talked about a lot on our show yet is Cody Gunderson. Talk a little bit about his season so far. First base for us.
Yeah, Cody's done a great job. He's also a heck of a catcher, and he's a great first baseman too. Former hockey player, that's just really got a good grasp on the game of baseball. Really competitive kid. He's one of the hardest workers we have here, and he's the same person every single day. He's a little bit younger. Most people don't realize that. I think he's only 20 years old, and he's 19 or 20 years old. He's a third year in college, so he's a little bit on the younger side for his grade, given the Canada to United States transition out of high school. But no, he's done a great job. He's played a great first base. He really has some really mature at bats. He's able to adjust pitch to pitch. He's able to adjust AB to AB. He uses all parts of the field. He had a really, really strong preseason, and he's kind of catching his stride again and really seeing the way that some opposing teams are pitching to him. But yeah, he can use all parts of the field. He controls the zone well. When he hits it, it's usually hit pretty hard, and he drives the baseball to the pull side as well. And he's going to run in a couple here soon.
Yeah, we've had in our history, we've had a lot of success with Canadian-born former hockey players. I think we've had 2 All-Americans that have played for us that came from Canada and played hockey. As you know, Dave McCabe was an All-American, and Brad McElroy was All-American also that played for the Niners in 2007 from Canada, and he was a hockey guy too. So keep that pipeline rolling in the recruiting process.
We certainly will.
Coach, can we take a minute to appreciate, and I don't remember, you're going to remember what game it was. It might have been Sunday, but there was Cody's playing first for us, and I made the comment that certain plays at first he makes like a catcher. There was a hot shot over there, and rather than try to glove it up, he basically just chested the ball up and got it dropped in front of him, which better him than me. But that was a total catcher move. And then he picked the ball up more and jogged over and stepped on the base. But he totally played that like a catcher, did he not?
He sure did. That's Cody. He puts his body on the line for us, and there really is no difference for him from behind the plate to first base. The mentality is the same. He's a stopper. He's a catcher. He's going to put his body on the line for us, and it's a credit to him and why he's done a great job over there, and will continue to do a great job over there, and even behind the plate when he gets back there.
My first thought was, wow, that was really impressive the way he just did that without hesitating. But then I thought, as a catcher, you're wearing a chest protector. He did that up there at first, bare chested, and I was like, wow, that probably didn't feel very good. I mean, he made the out, but still.
Yeah, maybe he forgot he was playing first base and he just instincts took over.
Maybe so. We're going to freelance a little bit here. Can we get away from hitting for just a second? Because there's kind of some semi-breaking news, Coach. And I just want to get you to respond to it. And he's like, oh, man, what's getting ready to happen? So you're third base coach. Okay? You're coaching over at third. You're not at first base.
Yep.
But the extra base is the safety bag is over there at first base now.
Yep.
And so we saw this. There was a game. There was a game last night between Florida and Stetson. I don't know whatever ended up happening, but Stetson filed a protest because their runner was called out on review for stepping on the wrong bag.
Okay.
The runner was safe by a mile, and Florida called for a review. The umpires reviewed it and determined that the Stetson runner stepped on the wrong bag. And they said at the time that this is not the last time this is going to happen. Well, I just got a text. So we're recording this. If you're listening to this later, it's 7:00 on Wednesday night. East Carolina and Old Dominion are playing right now. Their weekday game. And I just got a text. The same thing just happened again. Based on the tone of the text, I'm assuming that if this involves an East Carolina runner, although I can't be sure, but the runner was safe by like 3 feet. They went to replay, determined that the runner stepped on the wrong bag, and called him out. So apparently this is going to be a thing in college baseball now. What can we what can we infer from this? Do we think that people are having a hard time adjusting, or is this misunderstanding the rule, or what? Help us make sense of this.
Yeah, so it actually happened in one of our games already this year, and I don't know if everybody knows that yet. I just got that information from the third base umpire after the fact. They went to review, and the games are kind of running together in my head right now, and I would have to go back and look. But it has happened in one of our games where the base runner stepped on the wrong bag, and that's why he was out. It was a bang-bang play. He stepped on the wrong part of the bag. He stepped on the white part of the bag versus the orange part of the bag, and he was called out because of that. So it's already happened in one of our games. And you guys might be able to remember on the spot better than I would, but I would have to think about it. It was early. It might have been Northeastern. I don't think it was this past weekend, but it's already happened in one of our games. And so, I think my reaction to it is, I think the new base is safe. I think it's smart. I don't want any collisions at first base. I don't want to see anybody get hurt on a baseball field. So I'm all for it. I'm also all for following the rules, and if that's what the rules are, we gotta adjust. And if we have to practice it every single day until the end of the season, I'm gonna make sure that, and certainly it's not gonna be perfect, but we've got to find a way where we're not gonna let that be the reason we lose a baseball game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be my broad reaction to it. It's part of the game, and it's something that, if you're coaching first base or third base, or you're in the first base dugout, you've got to keep an eye on it, because it's the rule, and I don't know if they're going to be able to change it or if they will change it. And so it's going to be part of it. And there's going to be some outs, like you just said, ECU, Old Dominion tonight, and Stetson, Florida last night, and it happened to us however many games ago.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't realize that it had already happened in one of our games. I guess it was in such a way that it just was in the flow of the game and didn't impact the outcome. Apparently, I don't know what the score is in the ECU Old Dominion game right now. I don't know, but last night the Florida Stetson game, it took the tying run off the board. That's why it was controversial.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I believe we were on defense, and I thought he was safe. But I thought initial reaction, foot touched the bag, ball hit the glove. I was in the dugout kind of by the bat rack, and I was like, he's safe. And they call him out. We challenged it. They called him out. I go back to third base, and I said, hey, what do you guys got? Normal stuff with a review. And they said, oh, he touched the wrong bag. He's out. And I was like, well, thanks. I guess we got our challenge back because of that, I believe, too. So anyway, it's part of the game.
I see a lot of challenges coming with this rule, with that bag. Because I watched it at the Hayes. I watched it on both sides, and it's kind of hard to tell sometimes if the guys are hitting the right bag or not. So. It
is, and I think if the rules committee is listening to this great, but I think there probably should be a little bit of. It seems like there's no gray room, I guess, in terms of if the foot's in between the bag or if the foot's not in between the bag, and maybe I don't know the technical rule on that, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of gray area where the foot's in the middle of the bag, because the picture last night, I believe, was for the Stetson Florida game, if I remember right, scrolling on Twitter, the foot was in the bag. It was pretty could go either way. So I don't know. That's their job to figure out, and it's our job to kind of stay within the rules and utilize them. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I appreciate your honest take on that, because, like I said, that text just came in. Apparently, that just happened, and somebody's like, "Can you believe this?" What this feels like, Kevin, is anytime you make a policy, whether it's at work or the government or whatever, anybody makes a policy, or you make a rule about a baseball game, there's a reason you make the policy or the rule, but then there's the way it gets applied. And the reason you made the rule was player safety. Well, everybody can get on board with that. We don't want collisions. I mean, remember, Dave McCabe missed pretty significant time here playing first base by getting spiked over there at first. That might have been Old Dominion, believe it or not, the Old Dominion series where Dave got hurt at first. So player safety, yeah, we're all on board with that. But I don't think that when they made this rule, they were thinking that they would be changing the outcome of games with a safety bag.
Right.
So I don't know that may, and the rules committee may revisit that. I don't know. I'm sure they're watching. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't be. I mean, why wouldn't members of the rule committee be watching the Diamond Hunters Weekly? And if they're not, somebody should send it to them. But
yeah, let's get them on. That'd be great. That'd be great. They're the rules committee.
Kevin, that should be like a low-key goal of ours. Not a member of the rules committee, but what if we got an umpire on here?
I don't think you want to go there, Nick.
I don't think they would do it. They would be like, "Oh, I recognize those guys." All right. Well, we need it. We've talked about
they probably recognize your voice.
Not mine, it'd be yours. Oh, Coach, producer Brad says he can book us a former umpire for the show. Would that count?
I think that counts, right? It's got to. Anybody that's put the mask on and gone behind the plate, yeah, that counts.
Maybe we could do that. That might be a good off-season show. It's just talking to a former college umpire. Ask him questions like, "Did it hurt your feelings when I said?" I mean, when someone said, Oh, and Brad's saying he's even called series. He has called a series at Charlotte.
There you go.
He's called some of our games, and now I guess he's retired now. So from umpiring, so man, that might be a good show, Kevin.
Yeah, a rules show.
A rules show, yeah. All right, Coach. So you've given us a lot of time tonight. You gave us a great look at Arkansas. We need to start wrapping this thing up. For those of you at home, that series starts on Friday at 4 o'clock, Saturday at 3, and Sunday at 1. And it appears all 3 games will be on SEC Network Plus. So you can go in the ESPN app, sign in, and be able to stream those games there. So make your plans accordingly to get in front of a TV Friday at 4, Saturday at 3, and Sunday at 1. What time are you guys heading to the airport, Coach?
My itinerary is somewhere in here. I think noon tomorrow, 11 noon, something like that. I'll get on over there. We'll get there, fly out. And I think we practice at 6 tomorrow night, 6 Central Time. So I'll have a good practice and get under the lights and move around a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to get home and pack.
I do need to pack. Yes, that's on my to-do list when I get home. I need to pack here too. I think that's operation number 1. I'm gonna go pack after this.
All right. Well, Kevin, I think we need to let him get on and do that.
Yeah, Coach, we're excited for you this weekend. I know it's gonna be fun for you. Hope we get some Niner victories, but I know you'll have a good time either way.
We're going to go get after it, that's for sure. I appreciate you guys.
No, man, we appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us and talking about a wide variety of subjects. We've got restaurant recommendations. We've got a preview of Arkansas, and we've even got rules discussion.
That's right.
So we've been all across the board here. All right, folks, we're really out of time for this week. Look for this podcast wherever you find your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications in order to be notified of new content. You can also find us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, never TikTok. Reach out anytime you'd like. We love hearing from you all. If you're old-fashioned like us, just say hello to us at the ballpark. For Kevin, producer Brad, and Coach Sebahar, this has been Diamond Niners Weekly. We'll see you at the Hayes.